David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Since I first reviewed one of their pens back in 2021, I've made no secret of my fondness for the Turkish brand Kilk. They have produced a number of high quality, nice performing, and in my opinion, beautiful fountain pens. So when I heard that Kilk had partnered up with their country mates and frequent collaborators Galen Leather for a couple of new offerings, I was anxious to check them out. And they were very kind enough to send these pens along for review. They are special editions, both of them based on Kilk's Celestial model, and utilize material created by Jonathan Brooks. One is called the Calico Koi, and the other is the Red Abalone. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of these two colorful offerings, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about them. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Also, I will be giving one of these two pens away, so stay tuned to the end of this review to find out how you can make one of these pens your very own. So, do these two models live up to the high standard of the previous Kilk models I reviewed? In order to see, please join me over here at camera 2. Okay, first of all, when you order, I know it barely fits in the screen here, but when you order something from Galen, usually you get a few extras in here. They give you this little pouch, which is a nice little pouch to have. You can reuse for different things. And inside, we have a number of things. There is a nice letter that tells a little bit about the story of Galen. And then we have a nice postcard. Yes, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. There is a little sticker, more journals, less medicinals. Basically, I think it's saying that if you end up journaling more, then it would be better for your health. And then they include things like some tea. Here's some other tea. Here is some Turkish coffee. There is a nice pen pouch from Galen Leather, a nice leather pouch, a little gift certificate, or at least a discount code. And then also they usually include one of these things here, which is an evil eye. And the evil eye is supposed to protect against negative energy and ward off evil spirits. This is the first one I've received that's kind of this lighter blue color. All the other ones I have are darker blue, and so it's just something that's a nice little token to have. It talks about their story and then a little bit about the evil eye. The pen arrives in this box. This is, like I said, an exclusive edition for Galen Leather from Kilk. And the box flips open, and inside we have a few different things. There is a use and care guide. There is a nice polishing cloth. And then there is some information about a certificate of authenticity. And here is a pen. Now, there's actually two models. There is this model here, which is called the Red Abalone. And then there is this one here that is called the Calico Koi. Both of these are Jonathan Brooks resins, and I do enjoy them a lot. First of all, we have the Calico Koi, which is kind of meant to resemble a koi fish. And it's just a nice combination of browns and creams and oranges and a little bit of red in there. I just think it's a nice blending of that resin. And then in regard to the other pen, this is one of my favorite materials from Jonathan, that it's the red abalone that just really looks like the interior of an abalone shell. And kind of has that mother of pearl look to it. And so I think that Jonathan does a really good job of making this look just like the inside of an abalone. And I like that look. And so I think that it's a really cool look to incorporate into a resin. Let's go ahead and take a look at the parts and features of this pen. First of all, here on the finial, that is something that's called the charcophilic pattern, which is also known as the Wheel of Fortune. This is a 12-sided pattern, a dodecagon, if you will, and it refers to the complex order of the astronomical zodiac. And also charcophilic is since that means Wheel of Fortune, the Wheel of Fortune game show in Turkey is called charcophilic. Then we have a stainless steel, not sorry, stainless steel, but it's a sterling silver clip, and you can see underneath it does have the 925 stamp. And I do like this layered look to it, and it has a bit of kind of antiquing to it. I just think that that stair-step look and that antiquing looks really nice on this clip. And then having it being sterling silver is nice. Then there's a bit of a faux band right here where there is a couple of grooves. The cap angles up a little bit before then it angles down slightly. At the end, there's a very small step down to the barrel, which begins with the band. And it's interesting that the band is on the barrel as opposed to on the cap. I really love Kilk's bands that they use here. That in traditional Turkish art, these geometric patterns often represent heavenly bodies and celestial order, and that this intricate pattern is, on this particular model, is on sterling silver. And it's fairly smooth from the transition so that you don't feel a lot of bumps, and the material itself is fairly smooth. I just think that the intricacy of that looks nice with the different layers and the different texture on there. Then the barrel is straight for maybe just about ½ an inch before tapering down to another kind of faux groove, and then the end is just very slightly rounded. In regard to the calico koi, the design is essentially the same, except for this is all brass as opposed to the sterling silver. So all of the extremities and the trim is in brass. And then the cap twists off with just about 1 1/4 rotations. And underneath, we'll see here on the calico koi, you can see that we have a gold colored nib, which is gold plated stainless steel on this number 6 Yovo nib. But then let's take a look at it here on this abalone. You see on the abalone one that it is the silver colored. So you can see the difference between the two. And I think that's a good combination, that the silver band should have the silver colored nib. Now, in regard to this number 6 nib, on this nib is an imprint. Let me actually turn it over. And that, we got a little something there on there. This picture is something that you'll see on a lot of Galen nibs. It is, actually, if I can get it here in the frame here, that it is an image taken from this picture right here, which is the founder of the company, Zainab, and her son, Çağan. And it's kind of funny to see now that he was very, very young in this picture. And if you go to a pen show now, Çağan is well over 6 feet tall and well into his teens or late teens. But it's a nod to the founder of the company, Zainab. And the only thing is, it's just a little bit odd that it's upside down. I would consider it to be upside down. Now, when you are writing with it, if you're kind of looking at it in this way, it looks like it's right side up. But generally, folks have the logo the other way. There's nothing super wrong with that. It's just a little bit on the different side. And here's a look at the plastic feed. The section has a distinctive flare at the end and then angles up until you have the resin threads and a medium-sized step up to the remainder of the barrel. I tend to grip my pens close to the end, so none of this stuff back here comes into play in my grip. But even if it does, all of these transitions are fairly smooth. And so if you grip your pen a little bit further back, you're not going to have any issues with those at all. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international cartridges, and a converter is provided. With the metal included in here, I would not recommend eyedropping this pen. The cap does post. Now, the company says that they don't recommend posting it, but I feel that it posts just fine and that it remains a good balance and that it doesn't backweight the pen or throw off the balance at all. And so I don't mind posting this pen. And even though there is a lot of metal back here, I find that it posts deeply enough that the weight can kind of be on your hand more than the back and posts just fine. That both of these pens, let me put the cap back on this one, as I get ink all over my hands. We have the Calico Koi as well as the red abalone. Both of these pens retail for $290 on the Kilk website, which is pretty much their standard Kilk Celestial price. I won't list them all here, but there are 22 different nib choices. There are standard sizes, but then a bunch of italics and obliques and some 14 karat gold options, as well as the Galen exclusive dentist nib, which I care for a great deal. So I would highly encourage you to go check this out on their website. Now, I'll talk about the giveaway here in a minute, but before we do that, let's take a look at some measurements, some size comparisons, and then a writing sample. In regard to the size comparisons for these two models, here is the original Celestial pen that I first reviewed, and I just really loved this purple and this creamy white, and that was the one that kind of basically first introduced me to Kilk, and I fell in love with their pens. You can see it's a little bit smaller than the Celestial model that is used for these particular pens. Then here is another Celestial model. This is the tortoise shell, and you can see that this one is slightly larger. This is the one that actually has the dentist nib, which, as you can see here, it's rather bulbous on the end, and it's basically their take on an architect nib. But the Nibmeister for Galen actually used to work as a dentist, and so that's why they call it a dentist nib rather than an architect nib. And then also, one of my favorite Kilk pens is a themed one, which is the Camera Laterna, which is all movie themed. And I've reviewed this one. There's a lot of really cool things on this pen. One of my favorite things is this spinning movie wheel finial, just because I think that just looks awesome. And then even I love this band with the countdown. Well, we'll see if we'll count down. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the detail on this is really interesting as well. But that's what it looks like in comparison to the newer Celestial models. And in regard to a couple of non-Kilk pens, here it is with a Leonardo Momento Zero. This is a Cometa model. And then here it is with a Visconti Homo Sapiens. And then finally, here it is with a Pilot Vanishing Point. In regard to uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Homo Sapiens and the Camera Laterna. And then finally, here it is with the Momento Zero. Okay, in regard to the writing sample, first off, we have the Kilk, and this is Celestial. And this one here is the red abalone. This is a medium stainless steel nib. And that ink I'm using here, what that I felt was appropriate, is Troublemaker. Abalone. Then in regard to the next pen, we have the Kilk Celestial. And this one is the Calico Koi. And this one is a broad nib. And the ink I'm using here is one that I felt matched this pen nicely in regard to a reddish brown, which is, we'll just say Diamine SBRE brown. This is what the Troublemaker Abalone looks like. It's a nice light blue with some kind of pinkish sheen to it, and it does look well in this abalone colored pen. It looks very similar to something like Colorverse Mystic Mountain. And then here's Krishna's Lyrebird, which they consider to be a blue-black, but that's more of just like a really pale blue. Then in regard to the browns, we have SBRE brown, which is just kind of a nice reddish brown. This is what it looks like in regard to Diamine's Ancient Copper. And then one of my favorite inks, which is actually discontinued, which was Franklin Christoph's Terra Firma. This is what the Troublemaker bottle looks like. I don't know if you can tell, but I only have maybe a quarter of it left. I've used a lot of this bottle. And then this is what the SBRA brown bottle looks like. He had his thumbprint on there. And then I guess over time, I've added my own little marks over there as well. This is an ink that is sometimes available. And when it is, I'd highly recommend picking it up just because it is a quality product. And Stevens is a good channel to support. In regard to the rest of the writing sample, then actually let's change over to the broad for the rest of this. The broad does lay down a decent amount of ink. It is a stainless steel nib. You're not going to get a lot of line variation in here. But I would say that the ink flow is rather generous in regard to reverse writing. It's a little scratchy, but does lay down an extra fine line. And then in regard to fast writing, the feed keeps up very well. As I mentioned, the Kilk Celestial, these two offerings are up on the Kilk website, or actually on the Galen Leather website, excuse me. And I'll put links in the notes below, and each of them cost $2.90, which are right along the lines of what the other Kilk models retail for. I feel they're high quality pens and well worth that price. In regard to the giveaway, I will be giving away one of these pens. There'll be a link in the notes below to a Google form where you just need to put in your name and your email address, and then maybe answer a question like which of these two models you would care for. And after 72 hours, I will then randomly select a winner and notify you, and then get your contact information and send you one of these pens. So make sure you enter, and good luck. And if you don't end up with one of these, I'd highly recommend picking up one on your own, because I do enjoy their pens, and I think that this is a really special addition between both of these colors. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.